In 2023, the feud reignited after J. Cole mentioned both Drake and Kendrick in a track, fueling speculation about a renewed rivalry. Just months later, Kendrick dropped a series of diss tracks including Not Like Us, which many saw as a direct shot at Drake. The track became a massive hit, and Kendrick's Super Bowl halftime show performance included a nod to the ongoing beef, with him teasing Not Like Us as his closing song. The song propelled Kendrick to 5 Grammy wins, including 2 of the biggest awards for Not Like Us, while also earning a lawsuit from Drake over defamation and violence tied to the track's controversial lyrics. Despite the intense drama, Kendrick Lamar remained gracious in his victory at the Grammys, focusing on his city and community rather than ongoing conflict with Drake. The entire saga has definitely become a defining moment in modern hip-hop.
Welcome to the channel. Hit that like button and smash subscribe, because what's unfolding right now is crazy. So let's talk about Drake's latest album sales. And yeah, it's got people shook. If you didn't know, Drake just teamed up with fellow Canadian singer Party Next Door for a joint project, and the numbers? Whoo! They're stirring up all kinds of opinions. Now in this video, we're gonna break it all down. No bias, just facts. Drake's sitting in a wild spot right now in his career. On paper, he's still dominating, one of the top rappers in the world, right up there with his longtime rival, Kendrick Lamar. Whether you like it or not, Drake's stats are still stacking. No one can deny that. But let's be real, the public opinion, it's split real hard these days. And no surprise, that's mainly because of his heated beef with Kendrick.
Drake and Kendrick Lamar are beefing. Drake wrote a beef, and he did AI Snoop and AI Tupac talking about how disappointed they are in Kendrick Lamar. He wrote the raps, and then the voices sound perfect.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable what's happening.
What is wrong with Kendrick Lamar?
They're just beef. This rap, it's competitive. They beef sometimes. I think Kendrick started this one.
Well, hip-hop is an interesting thing because I love hip-hop, but I don't really love bragging.
People ain't riding the fence anymore when it comes to Drake. They either go all in for him or they can't stand him. And that's been the case for a while now. He's always been one of those artists who stirs the pot. Personally, folks either feel him or they don't. But musically, his sound still hits across the board, and that wide appeal is exactly why he's been running the game for this long. But over the last year, the vibe around Drake has gotten way more divided. People got serious opinions now. Either they ride hard for him or they're straight up tired of him. Not saying he dropped the ball, because Views was a straight up cultural moment, but it just didn't connect like his older stuff. Maybe his sound changed, maybe I did. Either way, I slowly stopped running to check for his new drops like I used to. Still, one thing you gotta respect, Drake knows how to stay in the spotlight. Whether it's his music, his fashion, his features, or just people talking wild about him online, his name always finds a way to trend.
Kendrick Lamar Duckworth and Aubrey Drake Graham have disliked each other for a decade now, so we'll start with the Drake and J. Cole song, First Person Shooter, where J. Cole says he, Kendrick, and Drake are the big 3 of rap music. Now Kendrick responds and says there is no big 3, it's just Big Me, to which J. Cole drops a diss of his own and apologizes 3 days after its release.
Phil, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
Formally exiting from this beat.
Right now, the convo ain't just about whether his tracks still slap. It's about how his next move will land, especially now that the public energy around him feels more tense than ever. Drake definitely took a hit to his image after that messy feud with Kendrick, no doubt about it. A lot was said during that beef and the fallout. It bruised his reputation big time. Now everyone's asking the same thing, and what's his next album gonna do? Will it rise or flop? Of course, Kendrick keeps popping up in all these convos too, and for good reason. He's been crushing it lately. His last album, GNX, dropped on November 22nd, and it's been racking up wild numbers. Just a week after the Super Bowl, it moved 236,000 copies. And no, that's not first week sales. That's months later. Crazy, right? The comparison between the two has only gotten hotter, especially since Kendrick's Super Bowl performance gave his album a massive boost. And his track Not Like Us, still going insane. The momentum around Kendrick is real, and it's only helping him level up even more. So now the million-dollar question is, what about Drake? He just dropped that collab project with Party Next Door, and everybody's talking about it. But will it deliver or disappoint? The pressure is on. The project, Some Sexy Songs for You, is clearly made for the ladies, no doubt about it. I mean, it dropped on Valentine's Day, basically the unofficial holiday for certified lover boys everywhere. That timing, totally on brand for Drake, and honestly, a smart move. Let's not forget, Party Next Door is the king of moody, smooth R&B vibes. That's his lane, and he owns it. So when you look at the rollout and the sound, it all clicks. The whole project gives you exactly what you'd expect from a Drake and Party Next Door link-up. Slow jams, vibes, and that signature atmosphere they both know how to create. Their chemistry's always been solid, and that shows up again here. Now don't get it twisted, the music ain't bad at all. There's definitely a few joints on there that hit right. If you're into their older collabs, you'll for sure find something that slaps on this album too. That said, I'm not really the audience they're aiming for with this one, and it shows. It's not that I hate it, but I'm just not all hyped over it either. At this point in Drake's career, he's getting older, and even though he's always been that love song guy, let's be real, he's dropped way better ones in the past. It feels like there's a bit of a disconnect between where Drake is in his life now and what he's putting into the music. I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd approach love with a little more depth this time. But nah, he's still giving us his version of romance the way he sees it right now. Now here's the twist. The album still debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, pulling in 246,000 units in its first week. And for Party Next Door, this is his first #1 album ever, so huge shout out to him. That's a big win. But here's where things get messy. Are those numbers really that strong for Drake though? Let's not act like we don't know his style. He's always been all about the stats. Anytime Drake drops, his numbers get picked apart like crazy.
For Drake's disses, he says Kendrick Lamar's son is not biologically his, that he's having relationship issues, and that Kendrick Lamar is physically abusive to his fiance. Now Kendrick calls Drake a rap colonizer, saying he just goes to black cultural touchstones to steal their slang and their accents to make music. Kendrick also claims not only is Drake a pedophile, but he employs pedophiles and also runs a sex trafficking operation through his home called The Embassy. As of today, Drake has been the last one to drop a response, but the overwhelming sentiment is that Kendrick Lamar has won this beef.
Back in 2016, when Views dropped, he owned the game. Most streamed, most downloaded, biggest release of the year. That album alone did over 1 million units in its first week and smashed the streaming record with 245 million plays. Yeah, that's the kind of history people are comparing his current numbers to. So when you stack those old numbers against what Drake just pulled, yeah, it definitely sparks debate. Is this a legit decline, or is it just a shift in how fans are actually consuming his music these days? Let's break it down. Drake's last collab, Her Loss with 21 Savage, dropped in 2022 and pulled in 404,000 first-week sales. Then his solo album, For All the Dogs, came through with 402,000, pretty much the same numbers. That kind of consistency is rare, but depending on who you ask, it's either impressive or underwhelming. A lot of people think Drake should be blowing past those numbers every time just because of who he is. Meanwhile, his fans are celebrating the steady run, calling it a win for staying power. But of course, the comparisons to Kendrick just won't stop. Like we said before, Kendrick dropped GNX in November, and once that Super Bowl weekend hit, his numbers exploded. Sales went through the roof, and everyone started paying attention again. Now here's where things get spicy. Some folks say that Super Bowl boost was totally natural, just good timing. But others, they're hinting there might be more to the story.
The Drake vs. Kendrick Lamar drama has escalated into one of the most significant feuds in modern rap, going beyond just lyrical diss tracks to include legal battles, record label rebellions, and even shocking public performances. It all started when the two were once collaborators, appearing on tracks like Drake's Buried Alive interlude and Kendrick's Poetic Justice. But by 2013, things took a turn after Kendrick Lamar dropped a verse on Big Sean's Control, calling out Drake along with other rappers. Drake responded, claiming Kendrick wasn't murdering him in any sense, and the back and forth continued over the years, culminating in a fresh round of disses.
Especially when you take a closer look at how those numbers are actually split. According to Luminate, Kendrick's GNX album moved 236,000 units in the week ending February 13th. But here's the wild part. 116,000 of those came from actual album sales. And out of that chunk, a huge 87,000 were vinyls. And those vinyls, they were pre-ordered months ago, but only got counted now because they just shipped out. That's a slick move. Now DJ Academics has been stirring the pot, saying Drake needs to start finessing like this, basically suggesting Kendrick game the system. But let's be real, Kendrick didn't cheat the game, he just used the system the way it's designed. Big difference, Academics. And to be honest, I really thought Drake was gonna pull at least 400,000 with this new drop, especially since Her Loss with 21 Savage hit around that number, and then For All the Dogs kept that same energy. In Drake's defense, though, a lot of folks are saying, yo, this is a collab with Party Next Door, not 21 Savage. And they got a point. 21 is way bigger in the current rap scene than Party Next Door. So yeah, you'd expect different numbers. But still, Drake is Drake. He was the main engine behind her loss, and he's the exact same engine driving this new project. So when the numbers dip, people are gonna talk. You know what else crossed my mind? If this album had dropped on Valentine's Day back in 2018 or 2019, it would have easily cleared 400K first week, no doubt. A Drake and Party Next Door R&B collab landing on Lover's Day? Come on, that's a marketing dream. Back then, that alone would have had fans rushing to stream it. And honestly, I don't think folks are giving that angle enough credit. Timing matters, and the way music hits now versus a few years ago, it's not the same game anymore. There's a real convo to be had about how Drake's audience has shifted. This project, it's clearly made for the ladies. I mean, it's literally called Some Sexy Songs for You. They didn't even try to be subtle with it. But here's the thing. Albums made for that type of crowd don't always explode out the gate in week one. That's not the point. These are the type of records that age well, that stick around, that people come back to over and over again. And honestly, they usually outperform the rap-heavy stuff in the long run. Why? Because women, as a group, are way more loyal music consumers. They'll keep spinning the songs months later, which is something a lot of people overlook when judging sales off just the first week. Women will run a song back for months, no hesitation. They'll hear something today and still have it on repeat deep into the year. Meanwhile, dudes, they're more likely to jump on an album early, skim through it, and bounce to the next drop. That difference in how people engage with music can seriously shape how an album performs over time. The bigger the moment, the longer the life of the album. That's just how it works. Look at Drake's older stuff. Who's really keeping those classics alive? It's the women, hands down. A lot of his biggest, most iconic tracks, the ones still spinning heavy, are those R&B heavy emotional joints, the ones that hit you in the feelings. And let's be real, those songs connect way more with women than with men. They're the ones still streaming Take Care cuts, still putting Marvin's Room and Hold On, We're Going Home on playlists. That kind of consistent love is why Some Sexy Songs for You could surprise people in the long run. It might not have made the loudest splash at first, but don't sleep. This album could quietly build up huge numbers just because the core audience vibes with it differently. It's that slow burn success, and Drake knows that game all too well. Now, this part is more of a theory. Can't prove it 100%, but hear me out. I was talking with my brother Moaz. Shout out to him, and we started thinking, what if Drake low-key dropped this project just to test the waters? Think about it. With everything that's gone down in the last year, the way people see Drake has definitely shifted. There's been a lot of noise, and this album might be his way of feeling out the energy before he makes a major move. Like, where does he really stand right now? Drake's always had his ear to the streets. He knows how to read the room. His whole career's been built on adapting, staying close to the new wave, and keeping himself ahead of the curve. That's how he stayed on top this long. And with this particular drop, a collab with Party Next Door that's been cooking for a minute, he's doing two things at once. First, he's testing his current reach. Second, he's doing it alongside someone he genuinely trusts. Party's been one of the most solid people in Drake's circle, especially during all that tension with Kendrick Lamar. Drake himself said Party stuck with him, while a lot of industry folks backed off over the last 10 months. That loyalty means something. And dropping this project together might have been Drake's way of keeping it all in the family while scoping the scene. So it totally makes sense that Drake's keeping his real ones close right now, especially after feeling the sting of folks switching up on him. No Friends in the Industry wasn't just a bar, it's starting to look real for him. Now look, I'm not here throwing a pity party for Drake. The man's worth hundreds of millions, he's gonna be fine. But let's not act like this. Past year hasn't been rough for him. He's been hit with all kinds of accusations. His name's been dragged everywhere, and let's be honest, even with all that money, you can't block out public perception. You can't just hit mute on the internet. You can't ignore somebody yelling that you're a huh-huh at the top of their lungs for the whole world to hear. In a lot of ways, this has been the ugliest year of Drake's career, and that's saying something considering he's still one of the biggest names in the game. At the peak of his success, Kendrick stepped up and let off a storm of shots. And even though I don't think Drake lost the whole war, it's clear he lost a battle. And that battle seriously shook up how people look at him. So when you really break it down, this project wasn't just some random drop. Drake was being calculated. This album feels like a strategic move. a way to test the waters, stay active in the game, and remind everybody he's still out here. And on top of that, dropping this project lets him lock back in with his core base. Let's be real. We're talking about the women. Because most of this beef chatter, most women don't even care like that. Unless you're a hardcore purist, the average female listener isn't out here analyzing diss tracks or keeping score in rap battles. Women have been a huge part of why Drake got to where he is today. They've supported him from the start, through every album, every era. And they're not as caught up in the who won the beef convo like the hardcore hip-hop heads. That's just facts. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the folks constantly arguing on social media. Twitter fingers don't represent the casual listener. I'm talking about the real ones who stream his songs on repeat, throw him on playlists, and keep his music in rotation, long after all the drama fades away. Drake's sending a clear message to his core audience with this drop, basically saying, I still got you. This album feels like a gift to the day ones, a little something to vibe with while the industry keeps his name in the middle of chaos. And honestly, it was a smart move, maybe even genius, because let's be real, dropping a full solo album right now, that would have been a disaster for him. Whether people want to admit it or not, we all know who is having the moment right now. It's Kendrick Lamar, period. The spotlight's still on him. Folks are still hyping him up, still unpacking every line, and that Super Bowl momentum, it's still going strong. Kendrick's dominating the convo, and Drake knows it. There's no way Drake was gonna risk dropping a solo album and try to go toe-to-toe with Kendrick right in the middle of this wave. That would have been setting himself up for unnecessary smoke and potential backlash. Now sure, hardcore Drake fans might say, that's nonsense. Drake always comes out on top. But if that's the case, then why didn't he come out on top in this battle with Kendrick? Exactly, because Drake isn't bulletproof. And if you really know how Drake moves, you know he's one of the most calculated artists in the entire industry. He's not just aware of what's happening around him, he's fully tapped in. He knows his strengths, but more importantly, he knows his weaknesses. And that self-awareness, he's been putting that in his music for years. If you take the time to peel back the layers and actually listen to what he's been saying, it's clear. Drake knows now's not the moment to make a big solo play. Could he sell? Absolutely. But any album he drops right now would still be tangled up in all the noise surrounding his name. And that's not the energy he wants when he's trying to craft a new era. Because let's not forget, when Drake drops, it's never just about the songs. He sells an era. Thank Me Later was a moment. Take Care was a whole era. Nothing was the same thing. But right now, we're in the Drake versus Kendrick era. And anything he puts out solo is gonna live in that shadow. But give it 6 months, tops, and this whole drama will start to fade. Something new always shakes up the culture. And when it does, Drake will be right there, ready to reset the game his way. Kendrick might just pull another wild move that shifts the whole conversation again. You never know with him. People eventually move on. And yeah, this feud will always be part of Drake's story for sure. But let's not get it twisted. Drake is way bigger than just his beef with Kendrick. And Kendrick, his success isn't tied to that back and forth either. We're talking about two giants here. These aren't just trending names. They've shaped an entire generation of music. Their influence runs way deeper than any diss track or social media buzz. So once this storm passes, and it will, Drake's gonna reload. And when he does, he's swinging for everything. And honestly, he has to, because his next solo album isn't just about sales, it's about legacy now. It's going to set the tone for what the next chapter of his career looks like. It's gonna be a defining moment. Truth is, Drake's music lately hasn't hit with that same cultural urgency it used to. It doesn't stop the world like it once did. And that's exactly why he's holding back right now. Back in the day when Drake dropped, the whole industry paused. Everyone listened. But now, things are different. On top of all this, there's gonna be major pressure on Drake to actually say something in his next album. For real. After everything that's gone down this past year, fans are watching closely. Some want answers. Others want him to address the narratives, clear up the mess, or at least acknowledge the shift in how people see him now. And whether he speaks on it or stays silent, either way, his next move is going to be picked apart from every angle. If you made it all the way to the end, go ahead and smash that like button for the algorithm. It really helps push this out to more people. And thanks so much for watching. And if you're new here, welcome to the fam. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss when we drop something spicy. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about Drake's latest album numbers? Do you see this as a win or a warning? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading and responding. And most importantly, I'll see y'all in the next video.